Robert Kiyosaki is one of the most influential names in the world of financial education and personal development. His message has inspired millions of people worldwide to question the way they understand money, work, and financial freedom. From a young age, Robert began to notice that most people followed a traditional path. Study, get a job, save a little, and work hard for years, hoping to one day achieve stability. But he discovered something different, a pattern that would change his life forever and that he would later share with the entire world through his books, courses, conferences, and teachings, which today are the foundation for thousands of entrepreneurs and investors seeking to build a better future. Robert grew up between two father figures who profoundly shaped his worldview, whom he called his rich dad and his poor dad. His biological father was a highly educated man with advanced degrees and a traditional view of work. An education, he firmly believed in academic effort, university degrees, and stable employment. Meanwhile, his rich dad was his best friend's father, a man with no formal education who had become a successful entrepreneur and investor. This contrast between two realities was the beginning of the most important learning experience of his life, and the driving force that later led him to write his most recognized work, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that transformed the financial mindset of millions around the world. The young Robert heard opposing advice from both men. His poor dad told him, "Study hard, get good grades, find a secure job, and retire with a pension." His rich dad, on the other hand, said, "Learn how money works, make money work for you, invest in assets, build businesses, and never depend on a salary." These two voices became the central axis of his decisions throughout his life, and the foundation of the philosophy that, years later, would change the vision of entire generations about wealth and financial freedom. Robert learned that money isn't just something you get through physical effort, but through knowledge, strategy, and the right mindset. He understood that there are two paths: the path of the employee, who depends on a salary, and the path of the investor, who creates assets that generate passive income. This idea became the heart of his teachings. The concept of working for money versus making money work for you is one of the most repeated lessons in his books, conferences, and training programs. While many young people dreamed of a stable job, Kiyosaki began experimenting with businesses from a young age. He worked in product sales, tried failed ventures, joined the Marines, and then entered the world of real estate, one of his great fields of study and practical application. He discovered that properties could become assets that generate constant income and that investing intelligently could completely change a person's financial future. Thus, his passion for teaching what he calls the true language of money was born, something he was never taught in school, but that he believes should be fundamental for anyone who wants to build wealth. What made Robert Kiyosaki different was not just his knowledge, but his disruptive vision, his ability to question what everyone considered normal. While most saw security in a job, he saw risk. While many believed a house was an asset, he claimed it could actually be a liability because it didn't generate income. While others trusted in government pensions, he insisted that each person must build their own financial freedom through investments and continuous financial education. These ideas generated controversy, but they also awakened millions of minds that began to see life and money from a completely new perspective. Kiyosaki asserted that true wealth is not measured by how much money you earn, but by how long you can live without working. If you have enough passive income to cover your expenses, then you are financially free. This idea became the goal for thousands of people who began to apply his teachings in their lives. It was no longer about working hard, but about working smart, about building assets like real estate, businesses, investments, and projects that generate income even while you sleep. On his travels around the world, Robert shared a constant lesson. Financial education is more important than money itself, because without education, no one knows how to keep, multiply, or protect it. According to him, poverty is not just a lack of money, but a lack of knowledge, a lack of vision, and a lack of platforms that allow you to generate income. This teaching became a fundamental base for those who wanted to break cycles of poverty and create new opportunities for their families. In his conferences, Robert explained that we are all born with enormous potential, but the traditional educational system does not prepare people for real life. School teaches you to memorize, but not to invest. It teaches you to follow rules, but not to create new opportunities. It teaches you to be an employee, but not an owner, an investor, or how to build your own business. That's why he decided to become the missing voice in modern education, a voice that would teach what really matters: how to manage money, how to multiply it, and how to build financial freedom. Throughout his life, Robert faced criticism, failures, and challenges. But each fall made him stronger and more aware that his mission had a greater purpose: to teach people to break free from fear, conformity, and financial dependence. He knew that most people worked their entire lives out of fear of losing their job, their stability, their house, their security, and that this fear was the prison that kept millions trapped in jobs they didn't like and lives that didn't fulfill them. That is why he repeated tirelessly: financial freedom begins when you stop being afraid of money and start seeing it as a tool, not a problem. One of his greatest teachings was the importance of learning by playing, which is why he created the famous cash flow game, a financial simulator where people can learn to invest, manage money, and build businesses without risking real capital. The goal of the game is to get out of the rat race, that endless cycle where people just work, pay bills, and never achieve freedom. Kiyosaki taught that the game represented real life, and those who learned to master it had a better chance of transforming their financial destiny. In his books, he also talked about the power of mindset. He stated that money only follows those who have a strong, clear, and disciplined mindset. Those who feel fear end up pushing away opportunities. Those who feel uncertain never invest. Those who wait for the perfect moment never move forward. That's why he insisted on the importance of taking action, of breaking through fear, of starting, even with little, because financial freedom doesn't happen by accident. It happens by decision. He constantly repeated that each person must choose between being a victim or being responsible for their own financial future. Robert also taught the difference between working for a salary and working for learning. He said that when you are young, you should seek knowledge, not money, because knowledge gives you the ability to generate income in unlimited ways, whereas a salary will always be limited. This philosophy led him to learn sales, leadership, management, accounting, investing, real estate, and business creation, all skills that later allowed him to achieve the financial freedom he taught so much about. Kiyosaki explained that there are 4 quadrants in which a person can operate: employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. His goal was clear: to help people move to the business owner and investor quadrants, because that's where true financial freedom lies. While the other quadrants can provide income, they don't allow a person to disconnect from work or enjoy time, freedom, and peace of mind. This structure, the cash flow quadrant, became one of his most celebrated and transformative teachings. Over the years, Robert wrote books that became global bestsellers. His message spread to thousands of countries and was translated into dozens of languages. People who had never received financial education found in his words a path, a guide, and a push to take control of their lives. His mission was always to teach something he considered essential: money shouldn't control you. You must control the money. Robert Kiyosaki's vision is not only economic, but also personal, spiritual, and emotional. For him, wealth is not just about money, but about purpose, happiness, development, and freedom. The freedom to choose where to work, with whom to spend your time, what dreams to pursue, and what kind of life to build. He stated that money is only a means, and its true value depends on the quality of life it allows you to create. That's why he invited every reader and every student to ask themselves, what kind of life do I want, and what am I willing to do to build it? Today, Robert Kiyosaki's legacy lives on, stronger than ever. Millions of people continue to apply his teachings, investing, building businesses, thinking differently, breaking limiting beliefs, and building futures that once seemed impossible. His voice continues to inspire those who feel they deserve something better and who have the ability to transform their destiny through learning, action, and financial vision. And so, Robert Kiyosaki became not just a successful author, but a leader, a global benchmark, a source of inspiration for those who wish to build financial freedom and a life full of purpose. His ideas remain firm, his message continues to grow, and his mission continues to guide those who dare to dream of a better life. Life where money is not an enemy, but a tool for freedom, creation, and abundance. Thanks for watching.